Hold the line.
One last battle to hold the line against the night.
The line must be drawn here. This far, no farther.
Hold the line. No one gets through, no matter what.
Sir, what are your orders?
There's only one order, Lieutenant.
Behold.
Incoming transmission.
Allied reinforcements have arrived from the west.
On Mojo 50 Radio. The Millennial Conservative Resistance begins right here, right now.
Oh, yes, indeed. Ladies and gentlemen, boys, girls, children of all ages, the new Millennial Conservative Resistance does indeed begin right here, right now with you. You are listening to and hopefully watching the HoloNet on the mighty Mojo 50. Today is Saturday. It is... Holy crap, what is it now? It is the 7th of September in the year of our Lord 2019, and we have a lot to catch up on this week. This past week, we have had Hurricane Dorian. I think it was Dorian, like Dorian Gray. We thought it was going to hit Florida. President Trump seemed to think it was going to hit Alabama for some reason. Instead, it hung a hard right and decided to smash into South Carolina. And last I heard, there were about 250,000 people without power. Team Rubicon was deployed, and also Trek Federation of our sister station Odyssey 1, ODYSY 1 station. They had been collecting for them, so if you want to give, you can get in touch with Trek Federation in order to do so. That's with Odyssey 1. Make sure you check them out, odyssey1.com. And they will be able to assist you in getting those funds out to the people that need them. And our thoughts and prayers are with the victims of Hurricane Dorian in the Bahamas. Last report was 30 dead in the Bahamas and complete and total devastation out there. So, again, if you have any family there, our thoughts or prayers are with you. Same thing with South Carolina, North Carolina. It seems now that storm is like spiraling off. Last I heard, it was a Cat 2. And was starting to wind down a bit, but hey, onto funner things. I got my soundboard in order here. I can't really mess with the camera much to like pan down and show you, but I actually have like a tablet like with all my sounders on it now, so I can do it quite a bit easier, and it should just allow for smoother flow to the show. So I'm excited. It's not as good as having a producer, but we're getting there. And it's like every time I have a birthday, the show gets a little better. Every time I have a birthday or a Christmas or something like that. Gee, maybe it's just when I don't know, people send me money. That's always good, because money. Buy stuff. Speaking of money, do you want your money to work a little bit harder for you? I know I want mine to work a little bit harder for me, and I want it to actually contribute to things that I believe in and not contribute to the things that I abhor. So, you know what we should all do? We should all get over to patriotmobile.com. Here's a little tip why, okay? Patriot Mobile sent a little information over to us that I want to share with you. And we're going to dig a little bit deeper into the story. I'm going to make sure I give it its proper due. But Patriot Mobile sends over an email. We talk to them a lot here at Mojo 50. And they wanted to bring this to our attention, that Democrats have passed a resolution applauding non-religious Americans and criticizing churchgoers. Okay? This from Patriot Mobile. The Democratic National Committee passed a first-of-its-kind resolution Saturday recognizing the, quote, ethical soundness and, quote, importance of religiously unaffiliated Americans while contending such voters, quote, share the Democratic Party's values. The resolution passed at the DNC summer meeting was championed by the Secular Coalition of America, an organization that lobbies on behalf of atheists, agnostics, and humanists in public policy. The coalition said it was the first time the party had, quote, embraced American non-believers. It passed unanimously, absent one abstention. The coalition said. So I'm going to touch on that a little more in a little bit, but this is all the more reason to get involved with companies like Patriot Mobile, and specifically Patriot Mobile this week, because you can actually benefit from a new offering that they have available to you. And think about this. San Francisco just banned the words offender and addict while changing convicted felon to justice-involved person. Now, when you ban words, you can't define what's right and wrong, what's good and evil. Once you ban words, you can ban ideas, and that's exactly what the left is trying to do. Patriot Mobile was created to give conservatives a voice, both literally and in preserving our great nation. While big mobile companies subsidize leftist causes that erode our values, our rights, and our country, Patriot Mobile is the only cell phone company donating to causes that you believe in. With plans as low as $25 per month, get nationwide service, U.S.-based customer service. You don't want to call, the Far East or anything like that. That's why we've made the switch here at Mojo 50, and so have thousands of patriots like you. Right now, get a Moto Z3 Play for only $5 a month. It includes a 6-inch screen, expandable storage, a high-quality camera, and more. Switching is easy. Just go to patriotmobile.com/Mojo50, select your plan, save $180 on a brand new Moto Z3 Play today. Supplies are limited. Don't wait. Do it today. patriotmobile.com/Mojo50, patriotmobile.com/Mojo50. Also have a call-in number for there. Let me get you the toll-free on there, because I know not everybody likes going online and ordering like that. Let's see here. That's 877-367-7524, 877-367-7524. Get the Moto Z3 Play for only $5 a month, okay? Patriot Mobile, guys, check it out. It's important that we direct the funds we were going to use anyway to something that benefits the nation and supports the causes that we support. So, kind of along the same lines, along the same wavelength of what Mojo 50 was talking, what Patriot Mobile brought to Mojo 50's attention, we really need to talk about Canada. And before I go at all into this, by the way, I'm actually looking at the screen. If you notice, I'm wearing an odd shirt. Normally I have like my 1791, or I've got my grunt style on. But today I wanted to put a little bit of love out there to a brother from another mother, my dear good friend, goes by the name of Dirtbag Dan. He's a professional wrestler. He's out of New Jersey, and he's wrestling on the circuit there. This guy was my best man. I grew up with him. Goes by many monikers in the industry, in the wrestling industry. Goes by the Sultan of Slime, the Duke of Dust, I believe the Godfather of Grime, the Dirtologist himself, the Dirtbag Dan. And check him out. Just Google Dirtbag Dan. Look him up on Facebook. Awesome guy. He's got some cool merch there. But yeah, just wanted to send some love to my brother Dan, and wish him the best of luck in his upcoming bouts. I watched his video today. It was awesome, and it's just so wild. I mean, we were kids, backyard wrestling back in Jersey. Yep, imagine this dude right here, laying the rock bottom on somebody, or the people's elbow, because that's what was popular then. Actually, my signature move was the Thunderbolt Spear, which was a combination move of like Goldberg's Thunderbolt and a top rope third turnbuckle spear. And yeah, we were idiots. Don't try this stuff at home, man. We got hurt. But yeah, the Dirtologist, Dirtbag Dan. Check out my brother there. And it's funny. I actually have another relative who's legit. I have two relatives who are legitimately pro wrestlers. I promise I will plug my cousin next week. I will get all of his information in front of you. We'll plug him as well. He's a wrestler based out of Pennsylvania. And then, you wind up with me. And these are both guys who remember me when I was skinny. Okay. So it was a while ago. I digress. All right. We got to get to work. And before I do, I have to apologize in advance to all my friends and family up north of the border because, yes, we've got to do it. We've got to blame Canada. Blame Canada. Okay, okay, enough of that. Now, if you're watching online, you didn't get to hear that. I rolled Blame Canada from the South Park movie. Censored, of course. But, yeah, that's Facebook and YouTube for you. If I actually roll that on Facebook or YouTube, boom, bang cannon. They hit me with a copyright so hard I go blind for a week. So, yeah. So that rolled on iHeart. Hope you guys enjoyed that. But the reason why we have to blame Canada this week, a story from The Blaze. Transgender teen's lawyer to Canadian court, dad guilty of family violence for opposing his child's testosterone therapy. Yeah, no matter how many times I read that, it doesn't get any better, okay? I just want to let you know that. It doesn't make any more sense the more you look at it. It actually makes less. Okay, so I found this on Facebook. This was courtesy... hang on, I'm going to see if I can pull it up. Just because there were so many comments on this that I felt compelled to bring it up on today's show. I promised the people in that group that I would. So, yeah, definitely going to. But, yeah. Let's break it down. So, according to David Urbanski over at The Blaze, the lawyer for a transgender teenager argued that a Canadian court correctly ruled that the father's opposition to testosterone therapy for his 14-year-old child...
Holy shit, dude.
14-year-old child. Oh, this is going to be a hard one to get through. Okay. Amounted to family violence, the Chronicle Herald reported. The teen's attorney, Barbara Findlay, also told the appellate court Thursday that a lower court rightly barred the father from talking publicly about the case, the paper said. Oh, they put on a gag order. Oh, isn't that sweet? All right. Quote, for a transgender person, having the world refuse to accept the gender identity that you say you are is the most profound harm because it's a denial of your human identity, Finlay added, according to the Chronicle Herald. The dad's expression rights end at the point where they harm the child. Yeah. So the British Columbia Appeals Court is hearing arguments concerning a transgendered boy, in other words a girl, who's identified as a male since age 11, the paper said. A psychologist last year referred the child to British Columbia Children's Hospital for gender dysphoria treatment, but the hospital's gender clinic said it was in the child's best interest to get hormone therapy to help the transition from a female body to a male body, and got consent from the child and the child's mother. And the father went to court to block the treatment. The Supreme Court Justice Gregory Bowden ruled February the child was exclusively entitled to consent to treatment. In other words, this Judge Bowden, saying that only the child could consent to the treatment, that the parents have no say.
What you just said
is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
I'm probably going to wear out that sounder. Okay, let's continue. Bowden added that the child must also be called by male pronouns, and that any attempt to persuade the child to end treatment or use of female pronouns when referring to the child would be considered family violence.
What?
BC Supreme Court Justice Francesca Marzari issued a protection order in April barring the father from publicly discussing the case after determining that interviews he'd given to conservative media outlets potentially exposed his child to violence and harassment, the paper said. With that, the dad filed an appeal saying it was a rush to judgment by that court and that all scientific opinion on such treatments weren't considered. That someone his child's age can't understand the potential consequences of a still experimental treatment, and that an order preventing him from publicly discussing the case steps on his freedom of expression, because of course it does. And that is directly my line of thinking. In fact, I commented, this is my exact quote from Facebook, on the Blaze story as it broke 13 hours ago. The notion that a 14-year-old is capable of this type of reasoning, let alone an 11-year-old, as the child claims they were when this gender dysphoria began, is completely insane and radically unethical for the courts or the medical community to enable and support. Full stop. Reverse thrusters. Resume station keeping. I mean, for the love of God. But, you know, I seem to recall, round about the time of the Hodges v. Obergefell decision here in the United States, where people were talking about something they called the slippery slope. And oh, that made you a bigot for talking about that. You couldn't talk about the slippery slope. You couldn't begin to talk about it. All anybody was ever talking about was what two consenting adults were doing behind closed doors. And when it came to the transgender debate, it's what a consenting adult is willing to do to his or her body under medical supervision, and that's their right. It's no different from any other body modification, getting a tattoo, getting a piercing, getting gauges or horns installed in your head. It's all the same. Because we would never let that happen to a child. Because children can't consent. They're too young to consent. And now we're hearing about crazy things like transgendered children who the courts are upholding their right to make radical decisions about their physiology that they can't even begin to understand. And again, like as early as a couple years ago, you had people talking about pedophilia now as a sexual orientation rather than a horrific mental illness. So yeah, about that slippery slope.
I am Nostradamus. Do you believe?
Had to borrow that one from the excellence of elocution. Escalence, huh? No, the excellence of elocution. Mr. Razor Fist, also here of Phoenix. That's a wonderful shtick, you know, busting out the I am Nostradamus when you friggin' called it a couple years back. Slippery slope, indeed. Now, this is in Canada. This isn't happening here in the United States. But, folks, that's very close. This is our neighbors to the north. And we are so close to having that same level of progressive socialist, hyper-inclusive, quote-unquote, culture and social structure here in the United States. We're maybe 2 elections away. Maybe. From having that be the law of the land here in the United States, and the time to stop it is now. The time to stop it is now. We have to do everything that we can in order to do so. Got a lot of other stories to get to today. Did you know that according to a poll, this was put out by National Review, also carried by Yahoo News, 73% of Republican students have hidden their politics over fear about their grades? Catherine Timpf writes, a recent survey of 1,000 Republican and Republican-leaning college students has found 73% of them have hidden their political views in the classroom because they're worried that exposing them could negatively impact their grades. What kind of a world are we living in now? Oh, it's the same world I was talking about last week, where you can't quite be sure what doors have been closed to you as a result of your political leanings. I'll tell you what door's open. The door that leads to a new set of flip-flops. Veteran-owned. CombatFlipFlops.com. Have you checked them out yet? Have you done it? You haven't? I'm disappointed in you. What the hell's wrong with you? What are you waiting for? Support a veteran-run industry. Support educating women who were denied education by an oppressive regime, the Taliban in Afghanistan. Be a better human is one of their mottos, because they are waging the peace through business and through prosperity and through entrepreneurism. CombatFlipFlops.com. CombatFlipFlops.com. Use promo code HOLLOW25, HOLLOW25 for your 25% off. Got the AK-47s, the Zero Rise Coyotes, the MK-19 Black High Tops. I need to get me a set of those. You also got the Black Low Tops. You got some great t-shirts on there too. Check it out. CombatFlipFlops.com. Veteran-owned and operated company. Every dollar you spend, you are giving to educate a woman who was denied an education in Taliban, Afghanistan. Business, not bullets. CombatFlipFlops.com. We can do better. We can be better. This is a great shirt. Drop tacos, not bombs. Awesome. Slow is smooth. Smooth is fast. For any of our vets, I'm sure they'll remember that one. But we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about news over the pond and some crazy stuff happening in the Trump administration. Meanwhile, you're listening to the HoloNet here on the mighty Mojo 50. We'll be back.
It don't mean a thing if you ain't got that swing. It don't mean a thing
if you ain't got that swing. It don't mean a thing if you ain't got that swing. It makes no difference if it's sweet or hot. Just give that rhythm everything you got. Don't mean a thing if you ain't got that swing. Just give that rhythm everything you got.
On Mojo 50 Radio. The Millennial Conservative Resistance begins right here, right now.
Oh, yes indeed! We are back. You are listening to HoloNet on the mighty Mojo 50. Thank you for sticking with us. And hey, I did want to let you know, I remembered his wrestling name while we were away on break. My cousin wrestles under the name Rex Taylor out of Pennsylvania. That's Rex Taylor. Check him out on Facebook. Dude is jacked. I mean, he's just enormous. I mean, he could look at me hard and I'd die. I mean, just dead. I mean, you know, I'm a bigger dude, husky, as Steven and Dylan like to say. Yeah, I got your husky. I got your husky right here. It's Steven and Dylan, defenders of American exceptionalism. If you're not listening to them, damn it, you should be. Check out my brothers, Dylan and Steven. That's Dylan Lyle, Steven Airy on The Defenders Live. That is every day, 6 p.m. PST, whatever the hell it is, Eastern. They are 10 times funnier than I am and extraordinarily informative. And believe it or not, I think they're a little bit further to the right than I am. I think they might be more conservative than me because... well, that actually is a lot of people on our network. But that's okay. You know, that's the thing. I heard this week that Dave Rubin is on the other station now. The station which shall not be named. And you know, I don't have a problem with that. The Rubin Report is a solidly produced show. And Dave Rubin is more of a traditional liberal. And you know, I actually get a lot of that into my news feed, into my head canon, they call it, into my mind stream, because I listen to Sargon of Akkad a great deal. And that's going to take us over the pond today. So for traditional liberal or liberalist ideals, what I would like to say to American liberals, if there are any left in the Democratic Party, guys, you've got more in common with us now than you do with your own party. You have more in common with conservatives than you do with these progressive socialist hacks. Run while you still can. Run. Get out now. The call's coming from inside the house. And their names are Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Bernie Sanders.
Son of a bitch! Your poison running through my veins! Ah!
I hope that Steven Crowder doesn't get too mad about that. Those are definitely some of my favorite Crowder bits, they're calling him now. And, you know, another one of my mantras is I'm not as funny as Dylan, Steven, or Steven Crowder. But that's not why you come here. You come here because, you come here. Ooh. Because we report on things that you're not going to get in your ordinary conservative stations. And that's what we do. I mean that's most of my shtick, is making sure that you know about things that you ordinarily wouldn't. One of those things you should definitely know about is Atrantil. That there's called a segue. You should know about Atrantil. LoveMyTummy.com. LoveMyTummy.com. Use promo code MOJO. That allows you to get 3 packages of Atrantil. And I believe that is at $99 for the 3 packages of Atrantil. Yeah, $99, 3-month supply. Use promo code MOJO. LoveMyTummy.com/MOJO. That's for the bubble guts. That's for the thunder poops. That's for abdominal discomfort. As, Dr. Leonard H. McCoy called it in Star Trek, the one where they go back in time. Postprandial upper abdominal distension. An acute case of it. Whatever you got. If you have some digestive issues, all of your health emanates from your gut, from your digestion. Make sure you check out Atrantil. LoveMyTummy.com/MOJO. Get your 3-month supply for $99. And going for the twofer, if you check that out, make sure you also check out KBMD CBD oils. That is on mojo50.com/shop. The reason why I mention them together is because of what's called the entourage effect, where if you use similar, terpenoids and combine it with cannabinoids, you actually increase the success of it. KBMD is a hemp extract derived from specifically bred industrial hemp plants with a high CBD content. The hemp used is grown organically, and the oil is CO2 extracted. The resulting extract is then added to an easy-to-use dropper bottle containing 900 milligrams of CBD cannabis oil. It is a wholesome extract. It's not synthetic. It's not an isolate. It contains synergistic cannabinoids, terpenoids, essential oils, and other compounds of the original plant. If you suffered nagging joint discomfort, difficulty sleeping, frequent inflammation, mood swings, gut problems, Atrantil, remember? KBMD CBD may deliver you the relief that you're looking for. Use promo code MATT, M-A-T-T, and that gets you $15 off your purchase of your KBD CBD oil tincture. It comes in natural, comes in cinnamon, and you can get $15 off today. Mojo50.com/shop for your KBD, Dr. Ken Brown, MD, KBMD CBD oil. And don't forget about your LoveMyTummy.com Atrantil. Get them together. It'll do your body some good. All right. So now, enough of that. Enough gilding of the lily. Enough of all that fun. Kids, it's been a while since we did it. Let's jump over the pond. let the demonetization process begin, because the second I hit that song, I get slammed on YouTube every time, but damn it, I'm not giving it up. I love that shtick. So, couple things going on across the pond right now. First and foremost, if you haven't heard of John Bercow is the Speaker of the House of Commons. And John Bercow's pretty awesome. He keeps control over the three-ring circus that is Parliament in the UK. Boris Johnson is now Prime Minister, and Boris Johnson has suffered a staggering series of setbacks, and he's on his third day actually working as Prime Minister of the UK since Theresa May resigned, because there was a break in between, and now he's on his third day back at work. Since then, he's lost 2 key strategic votes. And today, the vote that was taken, as he termed it, a surrender bill, took a no-deal Brexit off the table and requires him to seek another extension from the European Union. The vote he lost before that was the opposition claiming control over Parliament's agenda. So ripping the reins of government out of the brand new Prime Minister's hand, and now taking away the only bargaining chip that the UK had left, which was the no-deal Brexit, leaving Boris Johnson no choice but to push for yet another snap election in the UK. This is going to be like, somebody correct me if I'm wrong here in the comments, isn't this like the 3rd or 4th general election since Trump got in office? Since 2016? Because Theresa May won the election, then she called a general election and lost like half of her majority. Yeah, so this would be 3. This would be the 3rd general election since Trump took office. That's insanity. But what I want to take you to now is actually some audio of John Bercow, the Speaker of the House of Commons, just desperately trying to maintain control over the complete and total show that is going down in Westminster right now.
Order! 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 If we have to go on longer because people sitting on the Treasury bench are yelling to try to disrupt, so be it.
Labour Party, led by Jeremy Corbyn.
Yeah, you know, we don't name people in the chamber. People must observe the rules. No, order! Order! Order, I am simply and politely informing the Prime Minister of the very long-established procedure with which everybody, including the Prime Minister, must comply. Order, leave me to control the proceedings. Order, I don't need any help from anybody judging from a representative position.
If they had their way, whole sectors of the economy...
Order. It really is very, very unseemly. There is a procedure to statements of this kind, a very long-established procedure. And I'm setting out the position, and no one, be he ever so high, is going to tell me what the procedures in the chamber of the House of Commons are. Calm. I know exactly what the situation is, and I've got very much more experience of these matters than some of the people who think that they can criticise. Order! 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 I say to the Chancellor of the Duchy that when he turns up at our children's school as a parent, he's a very well-behaved fellow. Spare us the theatrics. Behave yourself. Be a good boy, young man. Be a good boy.
The insanity taking place in Parliament right now.
Teams have...
Sorry, bloody commercial. Sky News brought us that audio. That's a compilation from Sky News of John Bercow just trying to stay in control. Now, he mentions, that there are procedures in Parliament, and it's much the same way in Congress. When you refer directly to a colleague, even somebody in the opposition, you have to refer to them in formal speech. You don't refer to them by name. Boris Johnson actually got in trouble by referring to the leader of the opposition party, the Labour Party, Jeremy Corbyn, by name. He's supposed to say, the right honourable leader of the opposition, or something like that. Or, my good friend, the leader of the Labour Party, or something to that extent. Keeping that formal. form of address. And the same, as I said, is very true in our Congress and in our Senate as well, where our senators must refer to, the honorable gentleman or the honorable member or something like that. Things are getting heated in Westminster right now and in Parliament, and the basics of parliamentary procedure are breaking down, and it's turning into a yelling contest on almost a daily basis. Just this back and forth, this combativeness. And we're starting to see that here in the United States as well. We're not seeing it in the halls of Congress just yet because we haven't run into something quite as divisive as Brexit, because it just hasn't happened yet for us. The next big divisive piece will come in the United States with the eventual, because they're going to try it, the eventual impeachment proceedings against President Donald J. Trump. Now, I don't feel that there's any warrant, any validity to any impeachment proceedings against President Trump at this stage, but they're going to try. If they are unsuccessful, if the Democrats are unsuccessful in unseating the president in 2020, they will move to impeach with whatever they have. They're going to ramp up the Russian collusion rhetoric. And now, because of some more just stupidity on the part of the administration, I call them like I see them. When I think President Trump or Vice President Pence do something truly and deeply stupid, I am not afraid to call it out. And the Trump administration, in the person of Vice President Pence, who I ordinarily have a great deal of respect for, oh man, did they actually step in this week. So we go to two stories about Vice President Pence in Ireland. Okay? The first is coming to us from the Hill. Vice President Pence lands in controversy with a stay at Trump Hotel. Okay, this by Brett Samuels, Morgan Chalfant. Vice President Pence's office is engulfed in controversy set off by his 2-night stay in Ireland at one of President Trump's family properties. Pence stayed at the Trump International Golf Links and Hotel in Doonbeg, which is on Ireland's west coast, despite his meetings the same day in Dublin, which is on Ireland's east side, 182 miles away. The curious decision also came with the shifting story about why Pence ended up at Trump's property in Doonbeg. The vice president's chief of staff said Trump had suggested Pence stay at the Doonbeg Golf Club, though Pence's office later that day said the decision was entirely the vice president's. The controversy lingered on cable news and other outlets as Pence's office and Trump delivered conflicting messages. Quote, "I heard he was going there, but it wasn't my idea for Mike to go there," Trump told reporters Wednesday. "Mike went there because his family's there. That's my understanding of it." The move embroiled the vice president in a rare controversy as he seeks to solidify his place in the future of the GOP, and it has alarmed critics already convinced that President Trump has used the presidency to bolster his business. Quote, "This may not technically be illegal, but it's an atrocious abuse of power to line the president's pockets, and it's a continuation of 2 years of profiteering by President Trump," said Walter Schoeb, a former director of the Office of Government Ethics who resigned in 2017. By the way, Office of Government Ethics, isn't that a contradiction in terms? The White House wants to quibble over whether the president suggested it or whether the vice president thought it up, he continued. But what's clear is that the president has set the tone all along that the use of his properties is not only allowed, but encouraged. Now, you would think, after all this talk about the emoluments clause and about President Trump enriching himself, wouldn't it be logical for him and all of the members of his administration to steer as far clear from any building with the word Trump on the side of it as possible? If you're in Vice President Pence's shoes, would you even be in the same county as one of President Trump's properties? This coming from a man who rightly so, it takes what I believe it was called the Mike Graham stance, where he doesn't stay in a room alone with any woman other than his wife. in order to eliminate even all potential signs of impertinence or impropriety. That's it. That's the correct word I was looking for. Where you want to avoid even the appearance of impropriety. So for a man who so strives to avoid even the appearance of impropriety, why would you stay at one of President Trump's properties in Ireland on an official function? That doesn't make a great deal of sense to me. The vice president was already scheduled to visit Ireland, Iceland, and London this week when Trump asked him at the last minute to take his place during a weekend trip to Poland while he monitored Hurricane Dorian. Pence's chief of staff, Mark Short, told reporters Thursday that Trump had suggested the vice president could stay at his property during the trip to Ireland, but that it was not a request or a command. The vice president's office later sought to more explicitly distance Trump from the decision-making process, saying the resort was chosen because of its accommodations in close proximity to Pence's ancestral hometown, and that, quote, at no time did the president direct our office to stay at the Doonbeg Resort. Asked whether he suggested Pence stay at the property, Trump told reporters Wednesday, I don't suggest anything. Now, this is a situation where there are a couple of ways to play this right. If President Trump wanted to be, what's the word I'm looking for? Grandiose, which definitely appeals to him, and have the appearance of largesse and of being the bigger man, he could offer up the Doonbeg Resort at no cost to the government. Now that, I think, would be a horse of a different color, where the president is using his personal assets to the benefit of the United States and not the other way around. We're saying, yes, Vice President stayed at the Doonbeg Resort at no cost. The Trump organization absorbed that cost entirely. And even that does not waive all appearance of impropriety, nor does it grant the president impunity, but at least it's a better talking point. That yes, President Trump offered up his property in support of the United States. That at least plays better than saying, I didn't suggest anything. When just understanding how President Trump works, you could very easily hear him go, yeah, Mike, we have a wonderful resort there. It's amazing. You have to check it out. Maybe play a couple of holes of golf. And it's wonderful, hugely big. I lampoon the president a little bit, but, I respect him by and large. But this was just a dumb move. I mean, really, just...
Holy shit, dude.
Yeah, you're staring down the barrel of an impeachment, and you just gave them another stick to poke you with on the emoluments clause. On to other things, and I hate the fact this is taking up so much time. But Miriam Lord in the Irish Times, this is on the 3rd, okay, so this is a couple days old, but Miriam Lord writes, how Mike Pence shat on the new carpet in Ireland's spare room. Stoical smiles as U.S. Vice President delivers strong endorsement of Johnson and Brexit. Now, she writes, and he told them they were wonderful and he loved them. He even said a special prayer for everyone, and then, just before he left, he turned around and kicked them where it hurts. It came as a shock. Now, the way she writes this, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but what she takes issue with is the fact that during his comments, meeting with both the president of Ireland and the Taoiseach, which in my brutally bad Gaelic is the equivalent of a prime minister, suggested that Ireland and the European Union should, quote, negotiate in good faith with the new British Prime Minister, which raised eyebrows all around the room and made people wonder if he thinks the EU hasn't been doing that for the last 3 years, if not negotiating in good faith with the UK. Now, the president's expression didn't change. The Teosich, his expression didn't change. Boris Johnson and the Brexiteers are not popular in Ireland right now because Ireland is in the EU. Ireland wants to stay in the EU. And the Irish backstop is a huge stumbling block to Brexit because it's threatening to reignite the Troubles for the first time in like 25 years. It's bad. And when you're on an official visit to Ireland and you make the recommendation that the Irish and the EU should negotiate in good faith with Boris Johnson, who they have a very dim view of already because he was the mayor of London and very, very conservative and a very loud proponent of Brexit, they're going to take kind of a dim view of that. Now, I support what Vice President Mike Pence said. Ireland and the EU should negotiate in good faith with the UK. He's absolutely right, hands down, flat out. They should seek to deal honestly with one another, and I really don't think they have. The EU has been playing this fast and loose from day one. The EU wants to bully the UK into staying in the EU. They have not been dealing in good faith. As Vice President Mike Pence says, sorry to disagree with Miriam Lord of the Irish Times, but no good faith is to be had in the negotiations with the EU. Period. And Ireland is a party to that. Period. Full stop. Kind of sucks, but that's what it is. Now, I'm a bit of a nerd, bit of a Trekkie. There's a great line in a thoroughly panned movie called Star Trek Nemesis, where Captain Jean-Luc Picard, he gets interrupted midway through, which is funny, but he turns around to Mr. Worf and says that diplomacy is a very exacting profession, and that's completely true. This is where I fear our Republican leaders for the last decade and a half have fallen short. Think back to President Bush. Was he right a lot of the time? Absolutely. Was he intelligent? I have no doubt. I have always believed he was a very clever man. Was he always the most subtle and most cunning and conniving of diplomats? No. The man was about as subtle as a snow shovel to the back of the head sometimes. I mean, President Trump is a bull in a china shop on the back of a flatbed crashing into a steam locomotive that's all inside a dumpster fire. I mean, he is not subtle, but that's Trump. That's Trump being Trump. I find it odd to see Mike Pence stepping like this. I thought he had a little more subtlety. I thought Mike Pence knew how to play the game. And it seems pretty damn certain that he doesn't know how to play it any more than President Trump does in the terms of subtlety, of smiling and shaking hands and waving, and then turning around and, meeting with Boris Johnson in the UK and agreeing with Brexit and carrying on. But this could be a strength or this could be a weakness. Your mileage may vary. Tell me what you think. I want to hear in the comments what you think about this. But definitely a bit of a black eye for American diplomacy when just the jaws drop and the monocles fall out in the middle of a seemingly unrelated diplomatic function in Ireland, on the heels of Vice President Pence staying on a Trump property, which he probably should have avoided like the plague, to be perfectly honest. So there, two pieces of criticism on the Trump White House. And I call them like I see them. I call them down the middle. I think this could have used a better hand at the helm from a diplomatic perspective and probably didn't need to go barreling through like a bulldozer. I think we needed a surgeon, not a battle axe on this one. And it's a delicate balancing act right now between maintaining good diplomatic relations with Ireland and good diplomatic relations with the UK. I question this administration's ability to do that. I do believe our administration is acting in good faith. They're putting America first, as always. But the downside of that is they're going to piss some people off. And with the situation with China, the situation with the EU, we need to be bringing our friends closer, not pushing them away. That's kind of the thought that I'm going to end on today. Canada's going insane. The UK is in shambles. And we kind of stepped in it with Ireland. That's where we're at, folks. Going into October. Sorry, going into September, actually. Well, this has been the HoloNet on the Mighty Mojo 50. Good night. God bless you. God bless the United States of America. From Phoenix, I'm Matt Holloway. End transmission.